Dumb Husky and His White Cat Shizun is a BL novel. This is an audiobook made by fans for other fans. Disclaimer. Descriptive violence and triggers for sensitive content. If you don't like it, don't listen. Thank you. Remember, subscribe and click the bell to stay updated on all the new releases. Enjoy. Chapter 35. This venerable one slips. It was late at night. Amoran supported his chin and looked at the wall. Separated by a wall was Chu Wanning and Shuemeng's bedroom. She may loved cleanliness, so he folded his clothes neatly on the bed, not even a single wrinkle could be seen on it. Then he went downstairs and asked the waiter to bring him hot water to take a bath. The soundproofing of this inn was not particularly good. When the room was quiet, one could vaguely hear the movements of the people around them. Chu Wanning seemed to say something, but it was hard to hear it clearly. But then Shuemeng's voice rang out. It seems to be a little tight. Amoran's ears stood up with a piercing sound, and he moved a bit. Little Phoenix, who was next door, said, "Shizun, does it hurt?" "It's fine. You can continue. I'll be a little softer. If it hurts, tell me. If you want to do it, then do it. If you don't, then forget it." Amoran's eyes widened in horror. Although he knew that it was impossible for the two people next door, what kind of conversation was this? What were they doing? The dog's ears were almost pressed against the wall. He could hear the indistinct sound of clothes brushing against each other. If he looked closer, he could even hear Chu Wanning's muffled groan. How many times had he heard Chu Wanning make this sound in bed? When his Shizun was feeling great or in pain, he was unwilling to make a sound. He would always bite his lower lip, and the ends of his eyes would be moist and red. At this moment, as long as he pressed harder, he could hear Chu Wanning's throat breaking and gasping. Wait a minute." Chu Wanning's voice was hoarse as he said in a low voice, "There. Don't touch it." "Okay." Shuemeng hesitated for a moment and whispered, "Then Shizun, you. Do you want to do it yourself?" "Okay." "Where? What kind of mess is this?" "Don't touch it." "Do you want to do it yourself?" "What are these two people doing?" Amoran's face darkened. Before he could react, he had already knocked on the door of the room next door. A strange, hurried sound came from inside. The dog cub's complexion turned even worse. He took a deep breath and said, "Shizun, you." The door creaked open. Shuemeng was standing inside, dressed neatly. He was holding a piece of gauze that was stained with blood in his hand. He was squinting his eyes and staring at him in confusion. "What are you doing? You're shouting in the middle of the night. Did you bump into a ghost?" Amoran's mouth opened, but he stupidly shut it. He looked past Shuemeng and saw Chu Wanning sitting at the table. On the table was a brand new gauze and medicine. "You're..." Shuemeng stared at him. "Apply the medicine. The wound on Shizun's shoulder hasn't fully healed yet. He hasn't changed the dressing for a few days, and some of his wounds are suffocating." He asked in a daze, That's too tight." "Is it? Too tight?" Shuemeng frowned and thought for a while. "Oh, the gauze was too tight. Some of the blood stuck to the wound, and I almost couldn't get it off." Halfway through his sentence, he suddenly stopped and looked at Amoran suspiciously. "You eavesdropped on our conversation." Amoran rolled his eyes and tried his best to clean up his disheveled face. "The partition of this inn is so thin." "Who eavesdropped on us?" "If you don't believe me, you can go to the side and listen. If you stick to the wall, you can even hear the sound of breathing clearly. Oh, is that so? Xuemeng nodded. After a while, he felt that something was wrong. Wait a minute, how did you know? Did you hear it when you stuck to the wall? Xuemeng was furious. Amo Ran, you pervert. Amo Ran said angrily. Who knows if you'll do something worse than a beast to Shizun. Xuemeng was a pure person. He didn't know what Amo Ran was talking about, so he got even angrier. What nonsense are you talking about? He turned around and said, feeling wronged. Shizun, look at him. Chu Wanning put on his outer robe and tied up the loose lapels of his shirt. While combing his hair, he coldly walked over and sized up Amo Ran. What is it? I heard it in the next room, Amo Ran stammered. He braced himself and said, about that, I thought Xuemeng was bullying you. What? Chu Wanning didn't understand. He narrowed his eyes. Who's bullying me? Amo Ran wanted to slap himself in the face. Just as they were looking at each other awkwardly, Shimei came up. Azan? Why are you in front of Shizun's room? Amo Ran choked even more. About that, there was a misunderstanding. Shimei smiled. So, has the misunderstanding been resolved? It's resolved, Amo Ran said. Shimei, didn't you get the waiter to send you hot water to take a bath? Shizun hasn't taken a bath yet, right? I'll go downstairs and ask them to send you more. Shimei said, no need. He took out 4 small bamboo tablets and said with a smile, the waiter said that there's a natural hot spring soup next to the inn. The innkeeper has built a special bath. Take this tablet and you can take a bath. I'll give each of you one. Amo Ran felt that he really shouldn't go with the other 3 to take a bath. Xuemeng was fine, but Shimei was as holy as a deity in his eyes. He didn't dare to think too much about it. However, Chu Wanning knew that from the few intimate encounters he had after his rebirth, it was highly likely that his brain would go crazy the moment he saw him take off his clothes. Amo Ran immediately covered his face and said, I'm not going. Xuemeng was shocked. You're going to sleep without taking a bath? So dirty. Amo Ran said, I'll get the waiter to send you hot water. Shimei was baffled. This inn doesn't boil hot water. All the guests go to the hot spring pool to take a bath. Having no other choice, Amo Ran could only go with them to take a change of clothes and go to the hot spring pool to take a bath. The inn knew how to play tricks. It understood that most of the people who came here were Taoist priests who went to the golden pool to ask for a sword. Therefore, it simply named the bathhouse Golden Pool's Rising Sun for good luck. Amo Ran was afraid that he would faint, so he didn't dare to bump into the other 2. He hurriedly changed his clothes and wrapped a towel around his waist. He ran into the pool and found a quiet place to take a bath. Since it was already very late, there weren't many people in the pool. They were scattered far away. Amo Ran had a white towel on his head, and half of his face was submerged beneath the surface of the water. He exhaled, causing bubbles to bubble. The first person finished changing his clothes and came out with long, naked legs. Amo Ran stole a glance and heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was Xuemeng. Although Xuemeng was handsome, he wasn't Tashi Xianjun's cup of tea. The 2 of them looked at each other, and Xuemeng pointed at him. Stay away from me. What are you doing? You're dirty. Amo Ran replied, hee hee. The bathhouse was foggy. After a while, Xuemeng, who was wiping his body with a soap, suddenly said, Shizun, over here. Amo Ran's face was half submerged in the water, and he almost choked on his words. Although he knew that he shouldn't look too much, he still couldn't help but look towards the shore. This glance was truly fatal. Amo Ran was caught off guard and immediately drank 2 mouthfuls of water. Ignoring the nausea, he quickly dived deeper into the water, revealing only his eyes on the surface of the water. He never expected that Chu Wanning and Shimei would come out together. One of them was slender and beautiful, with long ink-colored hair and a bath towel wrapped around her body. It was Shimei. Amo Ranyuan was supposed to be the one who wanted to peek at him the most, but in the end, he only managed to catch a quick glance before he passed. He really respected Shimei like the moon, and didn't dare to stare at her in public. But the other was tall and cold, with broad shoulders and narrow waist, and a sturdy physique and tight skin. It was Chu Wanning. He had a high ponytail and a large white bathrobe draped over his body. His entire body was covered from top to bottom, but the robe was too wide, and the lapels of the robe were still not pulled tight, exposing a large portion of his smooth and firm chest. Amo Ran stared at him, feeling as if he was going to be suffocated and cooked by the hot spring. He wanted to look away. But his eyes were not obedient, and he could not move his eyes away in the slightest. His ears slowly turned red. Through the dense mist, Chu Wanning seemed to be glancing at him, but also seemed not to be looking at him at all. He casually put a layer of waterproof barrier around himself, and then stepped into the hot spring. The hem of his robe fluttered, and as he moved, he could see that his legs were tight and slender. Amo Ran was speechless. He couldn't take it anymore. He closed his eyes, and his whole body sank to the bottom of the water. Even with the bath towel around his waist, his reaction was too. Amo Ran felt extremely wronged. He really didn't like Chu Wanning, and he hated Chu Wanning to the core. But his body still remembered the past flirting with the clouds and the rain, and remembered those soulless lingering moments that could erode iron bones into tender feelings. He also remembered all the blushing, heartbeat, and absurd things that happened between them. His Adam's apple bobbed, and his heart was at war. In the end, Amo Ran was so anxious that he was about to cry. He was afraid that it would be the first time he would look down on himself like this. How could it be like this? Shimei was still right in front of him, so what was the point of him being hysterical to Chu Wanning? Even if it was in his previous life, they would be happy. It was all in the past. If he was still so concerned about Chu Wanning's body, what was the point of him being with Shimei? How disrespectful was it? How bad was it? After suppressing his evil thoughts for a long time, Amo Ran finally managed to suppress the evil fire in his lower abdomen. Only then did he suddenly emerge from the water's surface, shake off the water droplets, and wipe the water off his face with a towel. He then opened his pair of misty eyes. His eyes met perfectly with Chu Wanning's face. Moreover, the water droplets from earlier were all splashed onto Chu Wanning's face. At this moment, a water droplet was slowly dripping down, suddenly seeping into his pitch-black, sharp eyebrows, and then trickling down bit by bit, almost dripping into his beautiful phoenix eyes. This was really not good. He had just been holding his breath underwater, so he couldn't see the situation around him. Chu Wanning also didn't know that Amo Ran was hiding in this position, so he came over to get the incense box. However, before he could get the incense box, the person who suddenly emerged splashed water all over his face. The hot spring was very deep, and the buoyancy was not small. Amo Ran felt dizzy and was about to retreat, but he slipped and fell into Chu Wanning's arms. End of the chapter. Stay tuned for more BL.